Welcome to Sythopian Wars, where we're going to discuss pretty much everything and anything really about this game, and go over a few things what we're wanting to do with the Kickstarter. I'll let you take it away, Jace, because I see you dying with anticipation.
So yeah, I'm Jason. I am the 3D modeler, so I've 3D modelled these. Some of them will be getting replaced because we're not happy with them, but that's for later.
And game creator.
Absolutely, and I write the rules as well. Yep. So any spelling mistakes, let me know.
And I am Anthony. I am the concept artist and at the moment painter for the miniatures. So, like I said, everything you can see designed in front of you has been a kind of a slow process for me because I'm still learning how to concept art. I'm mostly just an illustrator, aren't I? But concept art's become a big part of my artwork now. So I'm trying my best to bring Sythopia to life, basically. Bring out the new look for the miniatures as well as existing races.
Yep, and we both work on the lore together, don't we?
Yes.
As well?
Yeah.
Although I do tend to do quite a lot of the putting things to paper, the lore and the stories behind everything, the idea behind the each individual model is something that we do work a lot together on.
Yeah.
So although we do have sort of specific jobs that we lean more towards, so you know, the 3D, the rule writing, and the illustration, everything is very much a collaborative approach.
Yeah.
So during this next hour, in fact, it's just going to be a bit of a general discussion. If we get any questions, any comments, we will answer them and give any answer any questions. In the meantime, we will also just have a bit of a discussion, tell you a little bit more about what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, what we hope for the future, and that's going to be what we're going to be doing for the next hour.
Yes. While I'm hungry as well.
While you're hungry, so if you hear any rumbling,
yeah,
the stomach,
just ignore it.
Not the miniatures coming to life. So just to start us off, then I think we were talking the other day about what made us decide. What on earth made us decide to do this?
Yeah.
Because I think when the difference between saying we're going to make a game
and actually doing it,
to actually doing it is monumental.
And it's not just that. Instead of just making a small game
yeah,
and working off that, we've gone for the full shebang. We've gone for, like I said, multiple races, multiple lore, history, creatures on the planet. You know, the entire, planet. There you go. I can't explain it any more than that. To create a new planet and everything on it, it's definitely a task.
So we decided to be world builders rather than just game makers.
Instead of house builders.
Yeah.
We're going to build a world instead of a house.
Which I mean, you know, it is fun. It is fun to work to come up with stories behind everything and whatnot. But it can also so recently, because there is only us two working on it.
Yeah.
I keep realizing I need to look at
the can.
Yeah. So although because there is only us two working on it, actually making sure that we get everything in place, it takes a lot of time. So I'd love just to be able to sit down and focus on the miniatures, because we have quite a lot of miniatures designed now.
Yeah.
But there is also the other work to do as well. So the world building, the rule book writing, play testing as well. We know all too well, because we are avid tabletop gamers, so we've played other tabletop games. We know all too well the struggles when it comes to the difference between rules as written and rules as intended.
Yeah.
So the amount of times we've read a rule and it's either not quite sound right, or you've read it one way and I've read it another.
Yeah.
And that's when the disagreements come in. So definitely trying to nail the rules from that point of view.
Yeah. And also write the rules so you feel like you're playing the army. I know we've said this in a few streams before, but we really want the racers to play as they are intended to be in the law.
Yeah, so it's this idea of feeling the rules, if that makes any sense. So when you are, there are plenty of games out there that try to create or look at creating systems that immerse you in what's going on. So when even though you're just rolling dice and moving things around the board, we want it to feel as though while you are participating, so while you're rolling the dice, that it feels as though, I can see why me doing that would indicate what's going on the table. So especially with things like the melee system.
Yeah, we wanted it quite brutal, gritty, because again, going to other games, it's all this. You take your turns, and we basically, the person who's on the receiving end for somebody rolling the dice and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't feel like there's much going on. It's like, like I said, with melee, when you're in close combat like that, you want it constantly happening and constantly evolving. So you can't just sit back and go, okay, I'm just going to leave them over there, they'll be fine. It's no, they're fighting hand to hand, and they're having, to push the enemy back as much as they can.
So it's simultaneous.
Yeah.
So it's happening at the same time. It's not just a case of you've got two people running up to each other. One of them goes, woofa, and the other person goes, ah, and then they go, woofa. It's a case of it's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And so, funnily enough, from playing other games, it's things like, well, how do you actively, combat an opponent with dice?
Yeah.
And one of the ways is, funnily enough, it's very, very simple. It's a roll-off.
Yeah, it's a roll-off, and what you're trying to do is parry each other or get through that person's parry. So when you roll off, well, I'll let you take it away.
It is as simple as that. It's the idea that you both roll at the same time. It's a roll-off, with the intention being that if you roll, if you roll a hit and I roll a hit, it's not just that we both hit each other. It's more of a parry. So there's a lot more of a dynamic feeling of struggling going along. So it's me rolling off against you, and again, just because it's done with dice, it's a much better representation, I think, than most other games that we've played.
We've played, yeah.
So we've gone around the houses a little bit. So why did we decide to do this? We decided to do this so off the back of what we've just been sort of talking about, because the other games that we had played didn't really do it for us. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not here to bash anyone or anything like that. There are a lot of good tabletop games out there.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time that I spent personally playing other tabletop games, a lot of the mechanics just seemed to favour the person whose turn it was, to the point where,
especially first turn.
To the point where there would be some games I would play where during my opponent's turn I would just sit down. I would just sit down and watch my opponent do their turn, or I may have some dice to roll, but there would be mechanics in the game that would take that away as well. So again, most of the time it would be, it's my opponent's turn, right? I'll just sit down, I'll pull up a chair and watch my models disappear. In fact, that was the only thing that I'd be doing, is I'd be taking my models off. So straight away,
it's not fun. So we wanted to create a game what you can be competitive in, but as well as have a lot more fun with it. Because like I said, you've always got something to do. So like I said, we don't have the you go first, we go second. It's all at the same time. Like I said, building it from the ground up though was definitely a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, we also wanted to bring the world of Sythopia to life as well.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a double-edged thing, weren't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, two pronged.
Yeah.
Two pronged, not yeah. So it was a case that we wanted to create a tabletop game that we enjoyed playing and removed a lot of the feel-bad components from other tabletop games that we've played.
Yeah, like we've just mentioned, really.
Yeah, like we've just mentioned, and also bring this world that we'd been working on for a decade at least.
Yeah.
Bring that to life.
Yeah.
So the Tin Men that we've got, the convict drones, the recon drones, they were all part of a story long before we actually got them on the table as miniatures. It's only been in the last few years where the cost of 3D printers has come down.
Yeah.
We've actually been able to get the miniatures made.
And they've come out pretty well, to be fair.
Yeah, so speaking of which, so I mean, do you want to introduce your miniatures first?
Yeah, over at this side, if you're not accustomed to this yet, this is the Asylumist Army. I've got 2 lots of Horde. I've got some Butchers here. I've got some Death Squad and a Heavy Spider. Now, when it comes to it, when we go to Kickstarter eventually, in the starter set, you'll get the 2 lots of Horde. So you'll have 20 Horde in total, 20 miniatures. You'll get the Heavy Spider and the 5 Death Squad. And we're hopefully, for a stretch goal, going to bring out the Butchers with it. But obviously, these are just a placeholder for now. So the generic pose where they just stood there will be changed over time, and they'll look a lot more grander. We're like I said, we're trying to make everything look so. Even if you didn't want to play the game, just going out and buying them or collecting them because you like the look of them, you want them on a shelf. We're all up for that as well, aren't we? Because I think where is it? The Arsenal up there.
Yeah.
That's a nice piece, a nice centerpiece. Just imagine having quite a few of them up on back, basically towering over your convict drones and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be a fine balance between what we're wanting really, like I said, is everything sprucing up.
So a game that collectors might just want to own.
Yeah.
So not just for playing reasons, but also just for maybe just sitting on a shelf.
Yeah.
And looking the part.
Because in past I've done that with other games, haven't I?
Yeah.
I never used to play them. They were a good few years. I'll go more even 5, 6, 7 years, where I used to just collect miniatures, paint them up, and put them on a shelf. Now, like I said, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make the game easy to play but competitive.
Yeah, so it's not designed to be overly complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, it has got a pretty in-depth rule book.
Yeah.
So compared to some, less than some,
Yeah.
but more than others. But it's got enough diversity in there so that you can really pull off, if you are tactically minded. I mean, I've had a few play tests with a gentleman that owns Barnsley Models and Games, and he's a lot more tactically minded than I am.
Yeah, he wins.
And so while play testing it with him, he's sort of shown different ways of using the rules that exist already.
Yeah. So what we're trying to get to is we're trying to make it so if you go out and buy the miniatures just for the look, we don't want the rules so complicated that when you come down to, if you want to look at the rule book, you're not going to go, oh, I don't want to play it now, it's too complicated and all that kind of stuff. So you've got all these beautiful miniatures, but you can't do anything with them. With our game, you can actually, you'll be able to get the miniatures, say you want to collect them like we were saying, and then you go, oh, I wouldn't mind trying out the game. It's quite easy to get into. But yes, over your side.
So yeah, these are the Confederation. So we've talked a little bit about the idea of a starter kit. So you've mentioned 20 Horde, 5 Death Squad, and the Heavy Spider.
Yeah.
For the Confederation, you would get 10 Tin Men, 3 Recon drones, and 10 Convict drones. So they'd be split into 2 units of 5. Again, the arsenal would be a stretch goal, so it would be like an expansion pack onto the starter kit.
Yeah.
So essentially, you'd end up with this and them in your starter kit with everything that you need to play the game. Everything does have story behind it, lore behind it. So your Tin Men, your Confederation are now, they didn't used to be in the story, but they are now heavily focused on robotics and mechanized infantry. So these Tin Men have replaced the majority of, I think they say, boots on the ground, don't they? So again, if you just want to learn about the story, about the lore, get involved in the world, there's plenty for you to sink your teeth into there. Yeah,
and plus, like I said, when it comes to Kickstarter or even the future, like I said, if it all goes well, we're going to be doing sub factions to each faction, as well as more stuff. Like if we have a look here, just a few. I don't know if you can see it properly. It's the only problem. There's a few concept pieces for other units for the Asylumists, what I'd love to see in the game. Same with the Confederation at the other side.
Tell you what I'll do. You introduce her and I'll hold them up.
You'll have to point to them.
Yeah.
So who are you pointing at first?
So you'll have to tell me if it's in the right place on the stream.
Oh, wait. Yes, slightly down. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, can you see him clearly?
Yeah, quite shiny though. That's the only.
Is that
perfect?
Better, a little less.
Yeah. So if you have a look in the one with it looks like it's got tentacle arms. That is a Green Eyes Cauldron, and that is an artillery piece for the Asylumists. It fires toxic. Well, it's like toxic waste at the enemies, and you can create pools of death, basically. Would you like to explain another one?
Well, just to let you know that if you want to learn more information on these, because some of these already have rules to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if you want to learn any more information or have a better look at the concept art, it is all at sythopianwars.com. But yeah, so each army is also made up of sort of sub-factions.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we were sort of talking about the Heavy Spider and the Death Squad. So they're part of a sub-faction of like military style Asylumists.
Yeah.
So the Green Eyes Cauldron is another smaller sub-faction of sort of toxic using Asylumists. So you'll have these that fire great big globules of toxic waste, and then there's others with like flamethrower-esque sludge guns, things like that.
Sludges, we call them.
Fizzers. So fizzers are essentially unfortunate victims of war that have had these generators.
Strapped
to them.
We'll say strapped to them.
Strapped to them. And they are reanimated and sent flailing back into combat to go and give their old comrades a hug and explode. We have the Scarecrow, which is a sniper unit. Again, all of these are available much bigger, much more detail on our website. Yeah. And the Bogeyman, a stealthy infiltrator.
Yeah.
So that's some of the other units that we've designed for the Asylumists.
So we're really wanting them on the table as well. We're wanting miniatures for them. So like I said, when it comes to Kickstarter, it just depends how well it does. We'll be able to bring out more things, more races, everything basically.
Yeah. And then for the Grit Guard, I think we've only got a couple for the Grit Guard.
Yeah, I need to
right now.
I need to redo the artwork for them, to be honest with you. Again, because I'm very much an amateur concept artist. A lot of the work I've done, some of it I like, some of it I don't. So I will be going back and defining it, but that's the whole point of concept art.
In fact, we don't have the attack squad, unfortunately. We've just got the Grit Guard.
Oh, it's not in there.
So the Grit Guard are what organic, what we're going to say, regular organic soldiers, are we going to say?
In a suit.
Are put into. So these things are very, very tall, about the same height as maybe an arsenal. So they're massive mechanical suits that people get inside, simply because you have to be inside something with this much armor and this much protection in order to survive on our planet.
Yeah. Because it's not your conventional warfare as such as with like bullets and all that kind of thing. They've got technology and weaponry what far surpasses ours. So most of the things, even the Horde, I know that it's not modelled with it yet, but even the Horde have got some sort of crude armor what can basically deflect most projectiles. Because if not, they just die in droves. I know they die in droves anyway, but
I think we decided that we wanted to go down, at least lore-wise.
Yeah.
I know at the end of the day, sort of big armour on certain things, not covering everything in massive armour, but big armour does have its uses and its cool factor.
Yeah.
But we didn't want everything to be in massive armour. So we've decided, law-wise, to go kind of beyond that, where everything now is done via the manipulation of fields and forces.
Yeah.
So the Asylumists, although they look as though they're not wearing any armour, well, they're not wearing any armour in
this model.
They actually have a natural, almost cybernetic array of systems within their bodies that forms a natural force field. So even without any technology on them, any projectiles, if they are not, bang on accurate or powerful enough, will move around and slam into the ground or off elsewhere.
Or if unless they don't look at it, hits somebody behind them.
Well, then yeah. So everything has some sort of defensive force field on the planet. Everything does. So it's no longer the age of power armor and big heavy things.
Yeah. And protection for your shoulders.
Yeah, and massive shoulders. It's an age of being able to manipulate the forces and fields around you, so that you could manipulate the massive objects in order to have. So you wouldn't need a piece of apparatus just to be able to pick something ridiculously heavy up.
Yeah. We've actually got as well one of the other miniatures for the other races with us. It's the Megalisk.
I'll get up again.
Are you doing all the getting up?
I'm like a museum exhibitor.
But I'm not a talker, man. I'm not a talker.
So the Megalisk is the first model from another starter set that we are looking at producing, called the Host. Layman's terms, they are reanimated metamorphic bodies.
Yeah.
So when anything expires on Sythopia, even individual cells, it has the chance of becoming a host reanimated cell. And that one cell can then try and gain control over other organic matter within that body. In this case, you've got a reptilian deceased head.
Lift it up slightly.
That better?
Yeah.
Reptilian deceased head, and the host has pushed out of it. So what's currently making up this host's body is the remains of the reptilian jawbone, another creature that was nearby, and the creature's tongue. So I don't know if you can make that out, but the end of the tongue there. So a very monstrous army for anybody that likes playing monsters and really nasty looking things.
And again, another good centerpiece.
It's
huge.
And we're also designing these armies to play differently as well.
Yeah.
So the Confederation are all guns and really advanced force fields. They can take a hammer in. They get back up really easily from taking damage.
I was about to say that then. They never stay down.
Yeah, but robots don't tend to use cover as well as organic, who will be sensible enough. Well, not sensible, but who will actually actively get down behind the wall. Robots are just there to trudge forward and lay down
blast everything,
So you won't get as much cover bonus from your mechanised units.
Yeah.
Your Asylumists are a horde army. Everything is based around your horde, so everything works really well in synergy.
Yeah.
Your butchers, which unfortunately you didn't manage to use very well.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it. I don't want to, because what you're supposed to do with the butchers is they're a good bullet sponge. So you equip them, or should I say escort, a horde unit. They will buff the horde unit to attack more, so they'll get more hits in. And as well, these are really good in close combat, what I never seem to do with them, because I see 3 of them and I go, oh, I need to protect them, but I need to know that these are going to stand in front of these to soak up the damage, really. But saying that, I didn't really use the death squad as they were intended.
No, so the death squad work really, really well with the horde, because they get a shoot action just before the horde gets into melee, so you get an additional ability to shoot with them. The downside,
well, it's friendly fire, isn't it?
We've tried to design everything going forward that whenever you gain something, there's also a downside. So it's not just a case of buffing everything to high heaven. So you can use this free shoot action into what your horde are about to hit, but any misses, you'll blast your horde. It's just a case of that they've just opened up into horde, and whatever I hit, I'll hit.
There's that many horde knocking about in the lore and the story. These really don't care if they hit their own side. They're basically killing each other anyway. If you want to check out the lore for the Asylumists and the Confederation, it is on Sythopianwars.com.
Yep, some of it is at least.
Well,
we are still, as we've said before, because there is only 2 of us working on this. We're having to juggle jobs consistently. So we can't just focus on one thing consistently. So there's the models to model. There's the concept art to do. We've got quite a lot of lore to go through from the past decade. Edit, update it, upload that, keep an eye on Facebook, update the website, playtest the rules, look at what we want to do for the future with the starter kits, because there are, in total, there's going to be the bulk starter kit, sort of represented here without the butcher and the arsenal. There's going to be 4 other smaller army personal starter kits. So there's the host, the Dracaran, that are a hunter gatherer sci-fi twist. Big. They're going to be huge. They're going to make your butchers look like horde compared to the Tin Men and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. There's the Order, which is going to be an army comprised entirely of characters. So it's not going to be an army in a conventional sense like this. You're not going to have lots of units or lots of numbers in your units. You're going to have like an army made up of single models like your arsenal. The good thing about that well, do you want to talk about the Order? I mean, if you want to, that's perfectly fine. The Order is like you said, is mostly characters, but they're going to be larger than life, because the whole point of their lore is they're basically gods. If you want to put it, immortals. They're immortals. What can make constructs of whatever they want to be, and then they send them into battle. So each one of them miniatures, when I'm designing them, I'm trying to make them, like I said, larger than life. So when you own one of them miniatures and you've got them on the table, it just looks ridiculous. And like I said, how they play, I don't know if we're going to put a lot of synergy between them, because they're going to be powerhouses themselves. Like the one, I'm just going to mention it. We haven't got a name for him yet, have we? But I think we're just calling him the Baron. The Baron at the moment, and he's very much he's like a demolition person. He's a massive living bomb. He's a living bomb. So he's going to be, because he can fly as well, he's going to be moving over other units, and he's going to basically be detonating, just detonating all around. I can't speak today. Thank you. He's going to be blowing up miniatures, and when he dies, quotation, he's going to basically go nuclear, isn't he? So you don't want to be next to him when he explodes.
So you're going to have him going around the table blowing everything up, and then you've got Madam Mirror, who we've already got the rules for, and she's very powerful as it is. If you have a look at her abilities, she can manipulate. What is it now? It's
essentially hijack your unit. So so she can make your unit shoot at each other or hit someone next to them. So her kind of abilities all center around like psychological and manipulating what people see and what people do. So she can do all of this stuff, and then you've got.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I just remembered the Order as well. The only race in the game what can actually technically cheat.
Yes. So they have a mechanic. The law behind them, essentially, they exist in a. It's almost like a video game. So it's like they exist in their own video game, in their own parallel dimension where they can do whatever they want. The Matrix. So they can do whatever they want, and they're immortal. And when they want to come onto Sythopia, when they want to actually have a presence, they just build themselves a body. And the bodies that they make can be ridiculously elaborate. They can be, completely over the top.
Huge, small,
And then they romp around Sythopia, doing whatever they want. And if the construct gets destroyed, they just end up back in the other place, so that they're immortal. And in the game, part of the mechanics around this other world that they come from involves actually having mechanics that allows you to change how the game works. I think if I remember rightly, it's called Break Reality.
And hopefully it won't break the game.
It allows you to force your opponent to re-roll, and again, upside and downside. So if your opponent rolls a load of hits, you can say no, no, you're not having that. The downside is that later on during that turn, you have to re-roll something. Now, it could be a good thing or a bad thing, because you could choose to re-roll something that you think's bad, but you get worse, or it could be something that you're forced to re-roll before you take. So everything's got pros and cons.
Especially, like I said, when it comes to the host as well. Especially these ones in front, their mechanics as well. Obviously, we've got to do a lot of play testing.
Because we don't know whether or not they're
going to be a bit overpowered yet. Because they can negate damage as well, because they're reanimated dead cells, well, dead basically, not as in zombie fashion, but because they're that, when you blow chunks off of them,
that chunk is still alive.
That chunk can become something. It's going to be it's a challenge, but. Like I said, we're trying to make the law a part of the game, and then somehow balance the game with the law intended. If that makes any sense, or am I talking absolutely shit?
No, that's fine. So we've got where can we access the background storage of the miniatures? So all of the miniatures that we have on the table, if you go to Sythopianwars.com and click on, I believe it says the game. It'll bring a drop down up, and you can click on the names of the individual armies. If you do that, it will show you the images of all of the models. And if you click on the images, it will take you to the data sheets, which will have an image, a bit of lore. It's not necessarily about that unit, but we've tried to tie it in nicely. So it will tell you about that, a little bit about that unit, or the lore in general.
A bit of a story and then, the rules, and then a bit of lore for them. Thank you for the question. What else? There's a lot more stuff.
So we've talked about the Order, where the Dracaran, which we've mentioned, the hunter gatherers. Their specialty is they get more powerful the more they're outnumbered. So you're going to want to get them into situations where it's like 5 on 1, 6 on 1. Because it's all about, it's like, well, the sub faction, it's all about like code of honor.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus the Dark Blade themselves, well, basically Dracaran, because we've even had to make his own language.
Well, parts of it.
Part of it. We're not Tolkien. If only Tolkien was alive today. But yeah, the Dracaran, also known as the Dark Blade, the tribes of it's different factions, different clans, and some of them are going to be riding on big beasts.
Yeah.
Where you're wanting, like I said, where their abilities, when they're surrounded, they get more. They get more attacks and stuff like that because, like I said, it's more honor in battle. And then you're going to have your other clans, such as the Vamaran, is it?
Yeah, there's the Vamaran and the Sythoran. So the Vamaran imbue themselves. So rather than taking this path of being a hunter-gatherer, which I'll talk about in a minute, because building a hunter-gatherer species onto a planet where they're supposed to have technology that can just eradicate people has had its problems.
We've had a few discussions, haven't we, and disagreements.
Yeah. So the Vamaran imbue themselves, and this ties in with the whole ability of having a hunter-gatherer species on the planet. So
it justifies it, really. Yeah.
So the idea is that the hunter-gatherers have a natural ability that they can almost like swap information with whatever they come in contact with. And some of them will, as basic as it sounds, some of them will imbue themselves with minerals or rock. So they can go up to, this mineral or rock, place their hand on it, and they can exchange information. So their skin can be covered in rocky sediment. It works both ways though. So some of their natural properties are then transferred to the rock. And as we've said from the beginning, everything, especially the stuff that's running around without any armor, has a natural built-in shielding or natural deflection fields around it that's caused by something that's in within their genetics, and almost like a natural cybernetic type thing. And so what they can do is when they take this when they imbue themselves, they transfer this ability to what they imbue themselves with. So they can have their mountain ranges protected by these fields, and the beasts that they ride into battle on, they can transfer the fields to the beasts, so that the beasts aren't just getting one-shotted.
Yes, we don't want it. We had that discussion, where we didn't want somebody riding. The thought of somebody riding about on this giant creature,
and a tin man just turning around and went,
well, not just a tin man. We've got something to cover as well. But it goes with the vehicles as well. We don't want big. Well, I call them tanks now because we can't think of any other word for them.
We know them as tanks, don't we? Because of the tanks on our planet.
But Confederation vehicles such as tanks, we don't want them just one-shotting. The thought of them one-shotting these big beasts and stuff would just it'd be kind of pointless having these races. So like I said, we've put a lot of thought into it to basically justify and add to the lore and enrich it of why things are. So, like I said, the Dracaran, hopefully when I've got more artwork done, like I said, juggling a full-time job as well as having family time and doing concept art, it's like I say, it's one big juggle in it. But like I said, when I'm tired. When I get round to doing the concept art, I'm hopefully going to put enough detail in it and make them look again grand, that whatever army you're collecting, you're going to feel a part of it, and it's just going to look amazing.
So we've got what is the next step after today?
We're going to be honest and say sleep. Plenty of sleep and food. No, but go on now.
So we're currently in talks with various manufacturers and publishers, because we're trying to get as many quotes and as much advice as we possibly can taking this forward. As we've already said, we've got an idea for a starter kit, and we've got ideas for expansion kits and stretch goals, bringing more armies into the Kickstarter. But really what we're looking at next is getting the information together so that we can go towards Kickstarter knowing what we need to be able to mass produce and get the starter kits into people's hands that are interested.
Yeah.
Also, for anyone watching or anyone watching this later, we are currently producing playtest kits. So the playtest kits involve a 5-person unit of tin men, 10 convict drones, 3 recon drones, 5 death squad, 10 horde, and a heavies spider. And we're 3D printing them at the moment, and we are going to be boxing them up, and we're going to be sending them out to anybody that's interested in doing play testing. Now, these are going to be in short supply. We're not a big manufacturing company or anything like that. We are having to do these from a 3D printer, so it is slow going. So anybody that does want to get their hands on one of these, we can't guarantee that everybody that asks will get one. Yeah. But if you can sort of point us in the direction of maybe a web page, or if you're part of a club, or you are part of a group that gets together regularly to do play testing, or if you think, there's a local club near me that does a lot of tabletop gaming, so I'd like to, introduce it to them. If you can give us that kind of information, then we would try as best to get them out to you. We'd love to be able to just give anybody. Yeah. I'm interested. But we've got to try and keep it to places we know will get eyes on what we're doing. Yeah. Not to sound as though we're kind of dismissing the individuals, but at this moment in time, we are trying to drive as much interest as we can in what we're doing.
Yeah. And by not letting me speak, because if I speak, I mess up. So you do the talking, I'll just look pretty. But yeah, like Jason was saying, because there's 2 of us, just getting things out there at the moment, it's going to be difficult, really.
It's going to be a long process, but yeah.
Same with the artwork. Like I said, just bear with me. I am trying. I was battling that piece last night. It was supposed to take me about 3 hours to finish a piece of concept art. It took me 6 hours just to get nowhere, because I got so far and it died on me. So I had to go back to basically square one and start all over again. What was not a pleasant experience, I'll tell you that for now.
I mean, moving on from today, you're currently, as you've said, you're currently working on the next bit of concept for the order. Yeah. After that, we've got another, is it about 6 or 7 pieces left to do? There's the 3 for the soon-to-be renamed army. There's the 2 left for the Dracaran. Yeah. 2 left for the order. Well, 1 left excluding this one. Yeah. So I think that might be it. And then there's just the expansion pieces for us to look into, isn't there? Yeah. So there's about a dozen more concepts to do.
Yeah. And then I just need to
lots of models.
Yeah, lots of models. A hell of a lot of models. I need to redo some of the artwork for some units, spruce them up a bit. Like I've changed I've spruced up the
convict drones, spruced the death squad up, and the horde.
And definitely need to spruce these up at some point, and then the other ones will be sorted out later. Yeah. What's not a problem.
But so as well as that, we're also going to be hopefully doing more war watchers. I know everybody calls them battle reports. I don't know if that is the official name for them. If so, we'll just have to call them battle reports. I just like calling them war because it's like opening wars, but whatever. So definitely more videos. edited, so that you don't have to watch us moving every individual model, and we can also edit out our terrible rolls.
No, that would be cheating. We could edit out again me speaking and waffling sometimes. It's part and parcel of being cramped in a room doing concept art on your own.
Brain atrophy.
Yeah, basically. I'm expecting my wife to come upstairs with a stick one day and poke me to see if I'm still, if my brain's still working. So yeah, there's all that.
So yeah, I think I were saying after that blip, 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 I think I were saying looking at taking this forward, so getting it to manufacturers is definitely the end. Well, one of the end results as we're moving forward. After that, it's getting it to Kickstarter. We were hoping the end of next year, but it completely depends on how things go. Yeah. With recent events, it's affecting everybody. So although we've got a nice idea of when we want to launch, we'll see how it goes.
Not just that as well. It's with Kickstarter and how that does. Will let us know what we can do with this as well. Because like I said, me and my brother are wanting to make this into a full-time job. We're wanting to make this into books, comics, and all that kind of stuff later on. This is the dream. This is the dream. This is the dream. This is further on. So as well as doing miniatures and carrying that on and bringing his own scenery out and his own battle mats and all that kind of stuff, we want it to be other things like I said, books, comics, even PC games if we can, because I'm a big fan of RTSs. And I'd love to see Sythopian Wars as an RTS, just watching Asylumist pour across the screen while you've got tin men just blasting them down and all kinds of mayhem happening. So I'd love to see that in the future. Like I said, it just depends if we can drive home Kickstarter. But hopefully we're doing a good job, and hopefully you're liking what you see. If you are, again, please, if you're not already following us on sythopianwars.com, please follow us on his Facebook page, and just like us, follow us, and just show some love.
Just let other people know.
Yeah, and just let other people know, because like I said, it helps out. It helps us a lot, and it keeps us going, really, doesn't it? Because like I said, when there's two of us and you're plugging away slowly, sometimes you get a bit disheartened. You're like, oh, it's not going as fast as we want, but that's just part and parcel of that's life. And I'm gonna kick into a song. No.
So yeah, I think we've talked. I think we've covered most of everything. I can't think of anything else that we haven't covered. Obviously, there'll be more information on the soon-to-be renamed army later.
Well, we'll just call them Biosite Expanse for now.
Yeah.
So people know what we're talking about. But yeah, we're looking for a name change.
We'll see what happens there. It's just gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if anybody's interested and would like to take part in trying to think of a new name for them, we'd be up for it. But we'd end up with things like Army McFace.
Army Face.
So we're just going to keep that between us for now and see where that goes. But apart from that, we're slowly plugging away.
I suppose it's worth mentioning as well. So I mentioned a bit about this test kit that we're printing off. If anybody wants to give the game a go with proxies and let us know, we'd definitely be interested in seeing how other people have found playing the game, even if it is using proxies. So that's something else that we'd be really interested in as well. Is getting feedback from people that have tried it with the models that they own, and if they've come across any issues. Yeah. Hopefully, it's just an issue with the way that a rule is worded, because wording rules can be quite challenging. You've got to try to make it really clear cut. Really, so there's no room for argument, because in a competitive game, people will argue if something can be interpreted differently in two different ways.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm so grateful that you're doing the rules and I'm not doing them. I'm staying away from that minefield.
So is it just Facebook and your website? So we've got the website sythopianwars.com. We've got our Facebook page.
Yeah.
We do have a YouTube channel as well. There's a couple of videos on there. One of them is the basics. So if you're interested in learning the basics of how the game plays, you can watch that. It is the basics though, so it won't cover things like the complex commands. If you're watching our stream earlier, things like covering fire, things like reacting to charges, although I may have covered that in the basics, I can't quite remember.
No, I think you did. I think you sorted that. Yeah. But what we're wanting to do as well is a lot more, what you're calling them, not battle reports.
Well, I'm calling them war watchers.
We're going to do more.
Reports, maybe the official name. I don't know.
We're going to do more battle report war watchers as well, hopefully, because we really like playing our game. I know that sounds really stupid, but
it helps us pick up on our errors as well. We keep making mistakes because we've got to we're paying attention to what's happening on the stream.
Yeah,
we're paying attention to what's happening on the board. We're paying attention to me forgetting 2 command tokens,
and I just forget what I'm saying.
And yeah.
I'll have to get that checked out.
We are on Twitter as well, but we've not really done anything on Twitter because Twitter is very foreign to me. I'm not 100% up on Twitter. It is something that we'll possibly look at.
I think we are. You just said we are on Twitter now.
We are on Twitter, yes, but I don't put a lot on there because
I've never checked.
Yeah, well, I've got it on.
I didn't. So that bluebird is actually Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm tired.
And we are on Instagram as well, although the Instagram tends to be a duplicate of the Facebook.
Yeah.
But it's still worth it if you are not a fan of Facebook and you're not on Facebook and you're just on Instagram. So that's something you can hack into as well. Not hack, get into. Yeah. Just to finish us off, I think just a little bit of a discussion about what we're enjoying about this and what we hate so far. Is there anything that we hate?
No. What compared to other games out there? Or are you just meaning
the process? Well, if we're talking about other, I mean, we shouldn't really talk about other games. This is because we're talking about our game. I mean, we started off talking about one of the goals that we are, one of our goals with this game is to remove the parts that make you feel bad and the parts that make you feel as though there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
If a unit gets wiped out, as you witnessed and felt in your bones, if a unit gets wiped out, if something happens to your army, it's your fault. It's
totally your fault.
Because there's a load of things that you could have done differently and you can do differently at the time. So it's placed more in your hands than the game's hands.
Yeah. Obviously, there's luck, because obviously rolling dice.
A little bit of luck with the dice rolls.
Is luck, all down to luck. But it's mostly about the tactics you're doing. So if you're getting wiped off the board, it's because, unfortunately or fortunately, your tactics.
Yeah. So let's say like and dislikes about the process. So you've been banging your head against the brick wall with the concept.
Yeah, the concept. Yeah, where to begin with that, because that is a brain wreck.
I mean, we like coming up with new stuff.
Yeah,
but it's getting it right.
Yeah, it's all fine and dandy, like you said, bringing something out and saying, oh, that that looks amazing, blah. But if it doesn't feel like that should be a part of that army or that law, I don't tend to do it. So at the moment, like I said, I'm working on the Baron, what is a part of the Order. Because the Order can be whatever they want to be, it's kind of hard getting a look to an army, but also them being different. They're all their own monster technically. So doing the concept for them is not being easy. It's like I said, some days I could just bash my head against the wall because I'd do something and I'd get so far and then I'd be like, it's just not right. And again, it's all fine and dandy for concept, but when you're trying to get artwork out there onto the website, so eventually we can have the miniatures. It's kind of a step back. You know what I mean? It's kind of a bit of a letdown. But like I said, the whole process with the artwork is just trying to get a feel to what I'm doing. With the Asylum is one of my better creations. Don't get me wrong. When I did the concept and I designed the Confederation and got their look together, I was happy with it. But there was nothing more better than the Asylumist, because when it comes to the Asylumist, you start off with the Horde. Now, again, yes, it's just like a generic humanoid person, barbs for hair, black eyes, sharp teeth. But there's so much you can do with them because of the lore and their technology. The way they can take a horde and mutilate them and turn them into weapons of destruction, or turn them into more strategic elite fighting force. There was something about that what gravitates me when it comes to concept art for the Asylumist than any other army. It was kind of a biased thing, but I can't help it. It's just one of those things. Go on.
Well, I was just looking at, just conscious of the time. So
sorry, I'm waffling again.
It's all right. No problem. It's good that you're passionate about it.
Yes.
And just quickly from me, because we've got another question which I'll sort of answer off the back of you talking about this idea of taking an Asylumist and mutilating it. So who can play? So age range. Well, we at this moment in time we've not looked into sort of, you know, the companies that rate things, so they'll give it a rating, an age rating or something like that. That will more than likely come with releasing it, mass producing it and releasing it.
Yeah.
We'll probably have to go through getting it age appropriate rated and things. I think at this moment in time, looking at it, you know, we've got, you know, some things have got blood on them, although that's the paint word.
That's the paint, yeah. The game itself, would age rating would be quite low, you'd say.
You'd think 12 plus, wouldn't you?
But the lore itself, we've kind of hopefully, well, we're trying to go down a darker route, so dark gritty world. So that is going to be I think that's going to take most of the age. We're not looking. We're not looking at censoring ourselves. Essentially, we're not wanting to we don't want to have this thing over his shoulder consistently, kind of saying, "Oh, you need to tone that back. You need to tone that back." We're not saying that we're complete monsters and it's going to be horrific. Leave them alone.
But when it comes to war, there is definitely, although it is a fantasy war, there is a reality to war, and we don't want to pull away from that.
Yeah.
You know, it's horrible. It's you know, gruesome and
It's brutal.
It is, and you know, we don't want to
shy away.
We don't want to glory. You know, we don't want to glorify. We don't want to. Oh, it's fantastic.
But we don't want to shy away from it.
But we don't. You know. But we. So we want to be really kind of truthful and you know, down to earth about it. We don't want to censor what war is.
Well, the beauty of it is it's future fantasy as well.
Yeah,
so there's a few things where we can say, look, it's just a game.
And then one last point from me before we end the stream. As weird as it sounds, I've enjoyed writing the rules. I enjoy coming up against the problem of a rule having to represent this and having to figure out how people can get around it or exploit that or do something with it that favours them. I've enjoyed problem solving with the rules. What have I not enjoyed? I've not enjoyed models not printing properly. Or misprints, especially when you've only got one 3D printer and you're wanting to mass produce test kits of lots of models, and you press print and it's flat
and it dies
because it's not stuck or it's not worked properly.
Yeah.
That I absolutely hate. The 3D modelling is challenging, and sometimes, I suppose it's the same with you in concept art, I just haven't got it in me. I have to take a step back and come back to it later. But otherwise, it's definitely worth it when you end up with a finished model.
Yeah.
Anybody out there that is looking at creating your own game, the best bit is when you've got it, when you've actually got it in your hand. You've got this idea, you've got the concept, you've sat down, you've got, and you've actually got it. That's fantastic.
Right, we're going to have to wrap things up in a sec.
Yep.
But thanks for watching from the Sythopian Wars team. I'm going to let you say what you always like saying.
I'm not going to say it yet because just a final note. So definitely, if you've got any feedback, if you want to get hold of a test kit and you think that you have a club or something that would benefit, get in touch with us via Facebook or Instagram or anything that you use. And check out sythopianwars.com. Check out all of the stuff that we're up to and spread the word the best you can, because the more eyes that we get on this, the more chance we've got of actually getting this into manufacturing and into your hands. Otherwise,
so I want to say thank you.
Back to the barracks.